My wife said she wanted a digital detox weekend with her sisters. But a server at a rooftop bar sent me a photo of her with another man, their arms around each other. I didn't react. I just organized a surprise family dinner and played a slideshow of our memories. The last slide said, "This is where it ends." Her dad stood up and said, "You deserve better." This happened last fall in Chicago. I'm 42 male, and my wife, now ex-wife, was 39 female. We were married for 14 years, had a house in Naperville, 2 kids, 11 and 8, and what I thought was a solid marriage. She said she needed a break, a digital detox weekend with her sisters. No phones, no emails, just nature and sisterhood. They were going to a cabin in Wisconsin. I didn't think much of it. She's close with her sisters, and I figured some time away might be good for her. She left on a Friday morning. I stayed home with the kids, managing school drop-offs, soccer practice, and bedtime routines. I even packed her favorite snacks for the trip. She kissed me goodbye and said, "I'll come back refreshed." Saturday night, around 9 p.m., I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of my wife at a rooftop bar in downtown Chicago. She was sitting close to a man, their arms around each other, both smiling. The message read, "Thought you should know." I stared at the photo for a long time. I recognized the bar. It was a place we used to go before we had kids. I didn't respond to the message. I didn't call her. I didn't react. I just sat there, feeling like the floor had dropped out from under me. I didn't confront her when she got back on Sunday. She acted normal, telling me about the hiking trails and how good it felt to unplug. I nodded, pretending to listen. Over the next few days, I gathered photos from our years together, wedding pictures, vacations, birthdays, holidays. I compiled them into a slideshow. I added the photo from the rooftop bar at the end, with the caption, "This is where it ends." I invited her family over for a surprise dinner the following weekend. Her parents, her sisters, a couple of close friends. She was excited, thinking it was just a family gathering. After dinner, I said I had a slideshow to share. Everyone gathered in the living room. The slideshow played, showing our life together. Smiles, laughter, milestones. Then, the final slide appeared, the photo from the rooftop bar. Silence filled the room. Her dad stood up and said, "You deserve better." Her mom started crying. Her sisters looked away. She sat there, speechless. She tried to explain, saying it was a mistake, that it didn't mean anything. I told her it wasn't just the photo, it was the lies, the betrayal, the disrespect. I filed for divorce the next day. It's been a tough few months. The kids are adjusting. I'm in therapy, trying to process everything. But I'm moving forward. I deserve better. After the dinner, things went quiet for about a week. She moved into her sister's apartment temporarily. I told her not to come home. I didn't want the kids confused. I told them their mom was visiting Aunt Ray for a little while, which was technically true. The kids didn't ask many questions. I think even they felt something had shifted. But then it started. She started texting me every day. At first it was just, "Can we talk?" Then it turned into long paragraphs about how she lost herself, how she wasn't happy, how it wasn't what it looked like. I didn't respond. Then she started showing up. Not inside the house, she knew I'd lose it, but just outside. Sitting in her car across the street. Once I looked out the window at 2 a.m. and she was parked there. Just staring at the house. Still didn't say anything. Then a week later, I got another message, from the same unknown number. Another photo. Same guy. This time at Navy Pier. Same close posture, his hand on her lower back. Attached was a screenshot of a Facebook post she made years ago that read, "Once trust is broken, sorry means nothing." Under that, the person wrote, "You deserve to know. She's been seeing him since July. That's 3 months before the detox weekend." So I started digging. Her sisters, I called Ray. Her sister. Asked her how their weekend was in Wisconsin. Long silence. Then she said, "What are you talking about?" She hadn't seen my wife that weekend at all. Said she'd covered for her because she was told it was a surprise getaway for our anniversary and I wasn't supposed to know. She sounded confused. I thanked her. Hung up. Now I knew. I told her I needed to talk. We met at a coffee shop in Lyle. Neutral ground. Public place. She looked rough. Dark circles, hair pulled back, hands shaking. I slid my phone across the table with the new photo and screenshot. She looked at it, didn't speak for almost a minute. Then she said, "I was going to end it." I said, "You already did." She cried. Hard. People were watching. I didn't care. She admitted to meeting him at a conference over the summer. He was a vendor. Said they started texting. Then meeting. Then sleeping together. Said it was a distraction. Said she was lost. I asked, "Did you love him?" She said, "I don't know." I said, "Then you never loved me." I got up. Left her sitting there. Didn't look back. That night, the unknown number texted me again. This time, they introduced themselves. It was the server from the Rooftop bar. A guy named Caleb. He said he didn't like seeing married people being lied to. Said he'd seen her there 3 times. With the same man. Then he dropped a bomb. He said the guy she was with wasn't just some guy. He was married, too. And his wife had found out. She'd called the hotel they stayed at. She was threatening to expose both of them. 2 days later, my wife's job called me. She worked in HR for a nonprofit in the city. Her boss asked me if everything was okay because there's been a lot of personal drama bleeding into work lately. Turns out, the other man's wife had emailed their HR department with proof of the affair. Screenshots, call logs, hotel receipts. My wife was put on administrative leave. She called me, sobbing, saying it was all falling apart. I didn't say anything. She asked if there was any chance we could fix things, for the kids. I said, "You didn't think about the kids when you booked a hotel room." More's still unraveling. There's something bigger going on with this guy she was seeing. I think he lied to her too. I think there's more to the story. And I just got another message. From a different number. All it said was, "Check the email he sent her last month." Subject line, "You know the risk." I haven't opened her old laptop yet. But I will. Because whatever's in that email, it might be the final nail. It's been 2 weeks since I got that last text. Check the email he sent her last month. Subject line, "You know the risk." I finally opened her old laptop. She hadn't logged out of her email. I found the message right away. Same subject line. Dated 3 weeks before the digital detox. It was short. Just a few lines. "You know the risk. I told you this wasn't going to stay quiet forever. If my wife finds out, she'll burn it all down. Don't get sloppy." No name signed. But the email address was a work one, from some mid-sized Chicago consulting firm. I googled the domain. Found him. Let's call him Brian. VP of Sales. Married. 2 kids. His LinkedIn said, passionate about integrity and people development. So much for that. But that wasn't the worst part. I searched the inbox for Brian. Found over 100 messages. Some flirty. Some personal. Some nasty. But then I found a forwarded message thread. My wife had sent it to her sister, Ray, months ago. Ray never told me. The email was from Brian. He was trying to end it back in August. Said it was too dangerous. Said his wife was getting suspicious. Said he had too much to lose. My wife replied that she would make things messy if he ghosted her. It hit me then. She wasn't a victim in this. She was obsessed with this guy. I confronted Ray. Asked her why she never told me about the email. She broke down. Said my wife had threatened to cut her off if she told me. Said she didn't agree with what she was doing, but she felt stuck. I didn't think it would get this far, she said. I thought it would fade out. Then she dropped a huge bomb. Said this wasn't the first time. That 10 years ago, before our second kid was born, she had a thing with a guy from her old office. I was stunned. She said she didn't know all the details, just that my wife had broken down one night, said it was a mistake, and begged Ray not to say anything. That was the first time. Brian was the second. I didn't think I'd ever hear from Brian's wife. But last Friday, I did. She messaged me on Facebook. Said she found me through LinkedIn. Said she wanted to talk. We met at a park near Wheaton. Middle of the day. Neutral place. Her name's Erica. She looked exhausted. Like someone who hadn't slept right in months. She said she had 2 kids. One of them was autistic and needed round-the-clock care. She said she suspected Brian for a while. Found receipts. Found emails. Then saw one of my posts on Reddit and recognized the story. She showed me bank transfers. From Brian to my wife. Multiple. The biggest one? $3,500. Labeled consulting. She asked, "Do you know why your wife needed money?" I didn't. But I was about to find out. I checked our shared credit card history. There was a withdrawal for $2,800 just a few days after that consulting payment. Then I remembered the second laptop. The one she said was for work. The one she kept locked in her closet. I found it in a box in the garage. Took it to a tech guy I know. He recovered the password. And what I found made my stomach turn. There were folders. Labeled Brian_June, Brian_July, Red Room. Inside? Screenshots. Photos. Some of them, personal. Some were clearly taken at a hotel. Some weren't of her. Some were of him. Others? Others looked like they were from someone else's phone. Like she'd stolen them. One folder had a spreadsheet. Names. Amounts. Dates. There were 6 other men listed. I don't have the full picture yet. But it's clear this wasn't just an affair. This was something bigger. Some of the files looked like blackmail. Not just of Brian, but of other men. Some had "wife works at," or "he travels alone" next to their names. There was one labeled insurance_guy_Winnetka. Another labeled Jeff/fitness/backup. I don't know if she was part of some ring, or just doing this for attention, or money. But I do know this wasn't just about cheating. This was a double life. And now, I'm not sure I ever really knew who she was. And she has no idea what I've seen. Yet. I waited. I waited until I had everything. The emails. The second laptop. The folder full of names and transfers. I printed some of the files. Just enough to show I wasn't bluffing. I didn't need to expose everything, just the truth I had uncovered. Then I did something I never thought I'd do again. I invited her over. She came on a Sunday. I told her the kids were with my sister for the day. She showed up with a hopeful look on her face, wearing that fake smile that used to fool me. Not anymore. I sat her down at the dining table. Laid the folder in front of her. She opened it. Her face dropped. Silence. Then she whispered, "Where did you get this?" I just stared at her. "Were you planning to tell me any of it?" I asked. Still nothing. "Were you going to tell me about Brian? About the others? About the blackmail?" That's when she broke. She started crying, hard. But not the kind of crying that makes you feel sorry. The kind that sounds more like panic. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said. "It started as a stupid flirt, and then I just what?" I said. "Started collecting men like hobbies? Started threatening people for money?" She didn't deny it. She actually nodded. Said she'd felt invisible for years. Said she needed to feel wanted, powerful, like she mattered. That one guy gave her attention. Then another. Then another. And eventually it became a game. A game she controlled. Until she didn't. I asked her the one question I'd avoided all this time: "Did you ever love me?" She hesitated. Then said, "I did. But not in the way you think." That hurt more than everything else. I said, "You don't love someone like this. You don't love someone and leave this kind of wreckage behind." Then I told her I knew about Brian's wife. About Ray's silence. About the consulting payments. About the men. About the files. And then I told her this: "I'm not going to the police. Yet. But if you ever come near me or the kids again with anything other than respect and honesty, I will turn this all over. And you know what that'll do to you. To your job. To your life." She looked like a ghost. She left. Didn't even argue. Just walked out, shoulders shaking, keys jingling in her hand, didn't look back. 2 hours later, Ray showed up. Said she heard what happened. Said my wife called her sobbing, said I'd ruined her. I laughed. Actually laughed. First time in months. Ruined her? I said. She did that all on her own. Ray nodded. Quiet. Said she was sorry. Said she should have told me everything years ago. Then she said something I'll never forget: "You were always the good one." And she never deserved that. I told the kids we were divorcing. Didn't give them details, just said we couldn't live together anymore because things weren't safe or kind. They cried. I cried. But they understood in the way kids somehow do, better than adults most of the time. She still sees them. I don't deny her that. But it's supervised. No overnights. She moved into a small condo in Aurora. Her job? She kept it, barely. But she's under internal review. I'm not angry anymore. Not in that wild, burning way I was at first. Now it's just quiet. The house is quieter. I started cooking again. I built a shelf in the garage I kept putting off. I read to my kids every night. Sometimes I sit on the back deck and just listen to the wind and wonder how I didn't see it all sooner. She broke more than just trust. She broke something in herself, too. And maybe that's the part one still grieve over. Not what I lost. But what she gave up. If you're reading this and you're seeing little red flags in your own relationship, don't ignore them. Don't minimize them. Don't assume you're crazy. Because I did. And I lived in a lie for years. But I'm free now. I'm healing. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm really living.